Hi, I'm Gavin,
And I'm Dave.
and you're on the fringe.
Come along with us for a ride on a podcast where we talk about an area or a thing going on in the world that needs more attention, just like you do. Let's go.
On the fringe. Here we go. Hey, 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 welcome to On the Fringe. This is Gavin here with my good friend Dave.
Howdy.
And today we're talking about the DSCA. The DSCA is what, Dave?
It's not the YMCA, right?
No, not the YMCA at all. Definitely not the Young Men's Christian Association. It is the Defense Security Cooperation Agency. And the Defense Security Cooperation Agency is a small government body. It's not very big. Most people don't know about it. It's part of the DoD or the Department of Defense, and it handles what it says on the tin. It handles foreign military sales. Now, Dave, why do we care about foreign military sales?
Well, a lot of U.S. foreign policy deals with defense, and I should say domestic policy as well, deals with defense and defense spending. And
Hmm.
U.S. has various treaties with countries and international organizations. We've actually created some for our defense and for other countries' mutual defense. And defense makes a very, very large part of the US economy. And a lot of these defense items that are sold are primarily sold through government agencies or bodies such as the DSCA.
So the DSCA's job is actually to approve two things. They approve something called direct commercial sales, which is like a corporation like Lockheed Martin selling machine parts to a foreign country, and they sign off on foreign military sales, which is actually through the DoD. They will contract with a company and then contract with another country. And the DSCA's job is to actually sign off on it. They have to approve every major foreign military sale. And they actually have to get approval from Congress. Congress, particularly on there's different gradations for different kinds of equipment, but basically, we're looking at over 50, $100 million. Congress has to sign off on it. It doesn't matter if we're selling to a really close ally like, well, we still have the UK. If we're selling it to the UK, Congress still has to sign off on it. The DSCA will have to issue an announcement saying that it has been approved. There are very
Okay,
rare exceptions to this.
so let's just say I am Marcos Jr. I'm Bonbon Marcos in the Philippines, and I want to do a little bit of saber rattling and go, okay, we want to get a couple of F-16s from the US. So how would we go about doing this?
Uh, well, basically, you have a military liaison in Manila, and through that military liaison, you go, we need to start talking about this. We need people from the Pentagon to come and sit down. You'd send some people out from the Pentagon. They would have to get approval for it to go any further. They would be in charge of reaching out to the Lockheed Martin people. Because Lockheed Martin produces the F-16, and the contract ultimately will be with them. So that ball gets rolling. Uh, One of the interesting things about what the DSCA does is once they've approved a sale, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go through. So you have the whole chain of command at the DoD. Lockheed Martin gets brought in. Uh, the DSCA basically assigns people to monitor the agreement as the DoD is drawing it up. Eventually, it will get forwarded on to Congress, and I think it's probably a committee somewhere will have to sign off on it. And at that point, the DSCA will basically call all the parties involved and say, "All right, you can go ahead with this now." Um, with the F-16s, that's real. That just happened. That just got approved. That was for $5.5 billion worth of F-16s and F-16 equipment. That may never actually happen. That's just been approved. What's interesting is it kind of gives you a on the ground look at what American foreign policy is doing because someone in DC went, now is a good time to tell the world we're perfectly happy selling F-16s to these people. And we're primed, we're ready to do it. We gave Lockheed the thumbs up. We will sell them as many F-16s and as many anti-aircraft missiles as they need to make these things work.
You can look
Uh,
at this. I say this shows two things. One,
mm,
it says, okay, China, look at what we're doing. We are arming
yeah.
the Philippines. We're arming Taiwan. We're arming these other countries in the region. So you better be on watch. And then the second thing I look at and go, okay, we're upgrading. We have all of these F-16s that have been around for maybe 25, 30 years. It's still a really good airplane, but it's older and outdated. So we're looking
Mm,
to upgrade our actual Air Force. We're like, okay, we can sell off some of these older F-16s. They're still just as good as they were 30 years ago. They maybe won't be as good as, the next generation fighters that have come out, but still, the Filipinos will be more than happy to have them. So we'll sell them off to them, and then we'll upgrade our Air Force.
yeah. I mean, and we're in the process of doing that. And currently, as as problematic as it is, as more and more of the kinks get worked out of the F-35, I
Mm-hmm.
think people are more comfortable bringing them in and saying, "Yeah, we can let these go now." Um, what about Ecuador, Dave?
Well, this is interesting because Ecuador has dealt with a huge crime wave in the last year, year and a half, and they have an
Mm,
election coming up as well. And it looks like that the president of Ecuador, is it Noboa? Forgot
Daniel
his name.
Noboa,
Yep. And Eric Prince, who was the former head of Blackwater, now Academy, have made an agreement to improve Ecuador's security. And it's kind of, from what I understand, kind of very vague, but it leaves a lot of
yeah.
wiggle room for either Eric Prince or his company or US government or other contractors to come in and stop crime and strengthen the actual police of Ecuador's military or
Now,
Ecuador's military and police.
why have we brought this up, Dave?
Well, I mean, it looks like Ecuador is having problems and they can't really solve these problems by themselves. So they're looking to the US, they're looking to a country that I guess they are looking at moving back to. They had a stronger relationship with China a couple of years ago. It looks like now they're maybe moving back to the US. But also, I think it shows that the US is still a major power in Latin America by Ecuador jumping back on the US bandwagon.
Okay, so the tie-in is they they've been using the DSCA too. And recently, there was an announcement that they are going to buy around 30,000 M4A1 rifles, plus training, which was very vaguely worded in the statement, I have to say. Um, the cost of all of that, officially, it's about 64 million. It'll probably be closer to 75 in the end. Again, there's a lot of wiggle room. It seems like they're going to be contracting out to a third party. And what was unusual about this DSCA statement is, unlike most of the statements, they do not specify a vendor for the guns and the training, which is kind of unusual. Nine times out of 10, it's Lockheed, it's Raytheon, it's a major defense contractor, and they name them in the document. If they're subsidiaries, they name them as well. No one is named. No one is named. Effectively, they say they'll announce who the vendor is um, basically after the sale has been concluded. So whoever it is, they do not want their name in the paper. And in my mind, that smells like a certain Eric Prince.
Very possible, very likely.
Uh, and he, particularly after the Blackwater PR nightmare that was their involvement in Iraq, has been very shy about publicity. He does not need bad press. Neither does the Ecuadorian government. So I have a feeling they have publicly announced, again, very vague security pact. They've been completely non-specific about what that's going to look like. This document kind of looks like the missing link. Someone is supplying the M4A1s and someone is supplying training. And these would very much be up Prince's Street.
Hmm.
So I think this is going to go in all kinds of very interesting directions. But the information is out there. They're not hiding it that much. And I suspect if there is a pact, if the relationship is continuing, you'll probably see more vaguely worded DSCA approval.
Well, there's also an election going on in Ecuador in the next month, month and a half,
Yeah.
correct? So
Uh, I believe
if
so. It's going to be the second round of the presidential election. Yeah. Yeah.
mhm. And if we see more of this, then you can look at it and go, okay, depending on
Oh,
what happens with their crime rate, it's either effective or it's not effective. And if they get more weapons or they have more training, then you might have other countries like Peru, which is also going through a major crime wave right now, following suit.
yeah.
So
And
this
a
kind of
lot
ties
depends.
back in. This kind of ties back into some other stuff we were talking about a few weeks ago with more
Yes.
private military contractors. And you had guys from Colombia that were in parts of North Africa. You might
Hmm.
have Americans now going down to South America and more of it.
Yeah. Just to be clear, the second round of the Ecuadorian presidential election is on the 13th of April.
Oh, next
So,
week.
yeah, so very soon. And currently, actually, his opponent, Daniel Noboa's opponent, Luisa Gonzalez, is slightly ahead. So again, just because the DSCA has signed off on something, that does not mean it's going to happen. That just means it's been approved. I think
Hmm.
just before we wrap up today, the F-16s with the Philippines, kind of the same thing. Um, it's been approved. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I think right now it's much more important for Marcos, one, to be signaling that he's close with the Americans, two, signaling to the Chinese that they're serious and they're looking into serious defense deterrence.
Hmm.
Uh, but even if they Lockheed somehow decides they're going to recycle old American planes, it's going to take years before they actually see an F-16.
Hmm.
So this is really more signaling at the moment than actual. But it's an interesting way of watching foreign policy kind of in real time. Anyways, that's the DSCA. Thank you guys for listening in today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your enemies. Don't share it with foreign intelligence agencies unless you work for one and you're already listening, in which case, welcome to welcome to
Welcome to
the
On
On
the
the
Fringe.
community. Welcome to On the Fringe. We love to have you here. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends.